It started like any other quiet morning in the neighborhood. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and the sun cast a golden glow over the freshly mowed lawns. But beneath this peaceful surface, something sinister was brewing. For weeks, I'd noticed strange tire marks near my mailbox. At first I brushed it off. Maybe a delivery van misjudged the curb. But then came the first hit. A loud crunch echoed through the street. My mailbox lay mangled. Its post snapped like a twig. I rushed outside, only to see a car speeding off. 2 women inside laughing. I didn't know it yet. But this was the beginning of a bizarre feud that would escalate far beyond anything I imagined. Word started spreading fast. Neighbors whispered about 2 women always driving recklessly, always causing trouble. They were known as the Karen sisters. Matching SUVs, matching sunglasses, matching tempers. These weren't ordinary drivers. They had a habit of veering too close to mailboxes, as if they were playing some twisted game. My mailbox wasn't the only victim. Others down the street had suffered the same fate, but mine, it became their favorite target. Each time they hit it, they'd speed off like it was nothing. No apology, no remorse, just tire marks and crushed metal. I started documenting everything. Videos, timestamps, damage reports. Because I knew this wasn't over. It was war and I had to be ready. After the 3rd mailbox attack, I stopped hoping it was a coincidence. This was personal. Every time I fixed the damage, they came back, denting, scraping, flattening. It was as if they enjoyed watching me rebuild, only to tear it down again. So I mounted a hidden camera across the street. Motion sensitive, night vision, capable. The footage it caught was chilling. Their car would slow down, veer off the road, and deliberately swing into my mailbox, laughing as they did it. It wasn't recklessness anymore. It was targeted harassment. And I wasn't just recording for fun. I was gathering evidence, preparing for the moment I'd strike back. After the 3rd hit, I was done playing nice. I took measurements, studied the angles, calculated where the Karen sisters kept veering off the road and slamming into my mailbox, like it was a bumper target at a demolition derby. Then I devised a plan. I wasn't just going to fix my mailbox. I was going to rebuild it stronger, smarter, meaner, steel reinforcements, a solid concrete foundation, and a surprise no Karen could ignore, an internal spring mechanism designed to bounce back hard. It wasn't revenge, it was justice. They wanted a game. I was ready to play. Installation day felt like prepping a battleground. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains as I bolted the new mailbox into the ground. Steel frame, reinforced base, hidden shock absorber. This thing was built to withstand impact and return it. I even gave it a nickname, the Mailbox of Justice. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, it happened. One of the Karen sisters sped around the bend too fast, too wide, and clipped the mailbox. But this time, it fought back. A loud metallic thud echoed through the street. Her SUV jerked sideways. Sparks flew. She hit the brakes. She stumbled out, stunned, inspecting the damage. Her bumper was dented. My mailbox, unscathed. It was the first victory. And oh, there would be more. Installation day felt like prepping for a secret mission. I worked through the night, laying down concrete, bolting steel panels, and fine-tuning the spring-loaded defense. By sunrise, it stood tall, like a fortress disguised as a mailbox. To the untrained eye, it looked ordinary, but I knew better. The neighborhood buzzed with curiosity. My neighbor Tom called it Mailbox 2.0. I called it Justice Incarnate. Now, all I had to do was wait. Hours passed, days, and then I heard the familiar rumble. One of the Karen sisters turned the corner. Her SUV drifted wide. I didn't blink. She clipped the mailbox, but this time, it clipped back. Thwack. The reinforced structure held firm, and the impact launched her side mirror into the air like a frisbee. She slammed the brakes, stunned. I sipped my coffee from the porch, savoring the moment. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where karma came, gift wrapped in metal and concrete. She didn't take the mailbox hit quietly. The Karen sister stood there in disbelief, screaming at the dent in her bumper like it had personally betrayed her. Her voice echoed through the cul-de-sac. "This is vandalism," she shrieked. "I'm calling the police." Neighbors gathered, phones out, whispers everywhere. The irony. No one said a word when she smashed my mailbox 3 times. But now, when her precious SUV got a taste of retaliation, suddenly I was the criminal. The cops arrived. They examined the mailbox, measured it, knocked on it. One of them gave an approving nod. "This is perfectly legal," he said. That moment, pure cinematic gold. The Karen sister didn't take the mailbox counterstrike lightly. After her SUV's side mirror went airborne like a startled bird, she circled back, parked across the street, just stared. I could feel the tension build with every sip of my coffee. Later that afternoon, a knock echoed through my front door. There she stood, blonde bob, designer shades pushed up like a crown, lips pursed with righteous fury. She demanded I remove that dangerous contraption immediately. I calmly explained, "It's a legal mailbox, just sturdier, built to code." Her eyes narrowed. "It's a weapon," I smiled. "Only if you hit it." She left fuming. But the next day, her sister arrived. Same SUV, same attitude, but this time, she had a phone out, recording clearly, trying to bait me into reacting. They weren't just upset, they were plotting. They couldn't stand losing. After the police left, the Karen sisters hatched a no more reckless driving. They were going strategic. They parked in front of my house for hours, filmed my mailbox, filmed me, wrote down license plates of my guests. One even called code enforcement over a so-called too tall grass patch. It wasn't just petty anymore, it was psychological warfare. I stayed calm. I knew provoking them further would only feed the fire. So I documented it all. Every call, every stare, every passive-aggressive lawn complaint. The Karen sisters wanted control, but I was ready to expose their obsession. The mailbox was no longer just a mailbox. It had become the line they couldn't cross without consequences. I wasn't alone anymore. One evening, Mr. Patel from down the street knocked on my door. "They keyed my car," he said quietly. 2 more neighbors followed, each with their own Karen horror story. Broken garden lights, trash bins knocked over, hostile glares. We formed an unofficial alliance, exchanged footage, notes, complaints, built a folder thicker than a mystery novel. Every page a new chapter in the Karen saga. The sisters didn't know it, but the neighborhood had turned. Together, we decided, no more silence. The next move they made would be documented, shared, and called out. The Karen sisters weren't just messing with one person anymore. They were messing with everyone, and the mailbox of justice. It stood as our symbol. With our growing evidence, we did what Karens feared most. We went public. At the next town hall meeting, our alliance showed up in force. The projector lit up with footage's slow-motion mailbox crashes, close-ups of keyed cars, screenshots of bizarre text messages. Gasps echoed through the room. Even council members leaned forward in disbelief. The Karen sisters were there too, arms crossed, scowling. But they had no defense. Their petty games had turned into a community crisis. The mayor promised immediate action. Ordinances were revised. Surveillance expanded. And suddenly, the sisters weren't just facing angry neighbors. They were facing the full weight of local law. The power had shifted, permanently. Just when we thought the saga was settling, they struck again. At 2:47 a.m., motion sensor lights flared across my driveway. Cameras rolled. One Karen sister tiptoed toward the mailbox, this time with a baseball bat in hand. Quiet, calculated, desperate. She swung. The bat collided with metal, and for a moment, she smirked. But then came the recoil, thanks to the shock-resistant frame. The bat vibrated violently, smacking her hand. She yelped, dropped it, and fled. The footage went viral by morning. The community was stunned. This wasn't petty rivalry anymore, it was sabotaged on the Karen sisters. They had crossed the final line. The viral video spread like wildfire. By sunrise, news outlets picked it up. Caught in the act, suburban feud turns violent. Neighbors flooded the comment sections, sharing their own Karen stories. The Karen sisters. They were infamous. Local authorities stepped in again, this time with real consequences. Fines, court dates, mandatory community service. Suddenly, the sisters weren't cruising in smug silence. They were ducking cameras and avoiding eye contact. But the best part, the mailbox of justice stood firm. Not even a scratch. What started as a petty feud had become a community reckoning. No longer just about me, this was about every person who ever got harassed, dismissed, or pushed aside. And the neighborhood? It was finally waking up, with their reputation shattered and legal trouble mounting. The Karen sisters began to unravel. One stopped showing up at town meetings. The other was spotted scraping off bumper stickers that once proudly boasted neighborhood. Watch Captain. Their social media pages. Gone. Deleted. Like they never existed. But the damage couldn't be reversed. Their names were etched in community memory, like graffiti on a brick wall. Invitations to garden parties, revoked. Their gossip network, disbanded. And oddly enough, my mailbox stood untouched for weeks. Victory wasn't just about justice. It was the eerie silence that followed. A silence filled with respect, caution, and maybe even a touch of fear. The neighborhood had healed. But the scar remained. One quiet afternoon, something strange happened. A small envelope appeared in my mailbox. No postage, just handwritten letters. Sorry. Inside, a folded note. Apology scribbled in shaky handwriting. No names, but the tone was clear. Regret, maybe even remorse. Neighbors received similar notes. One found flowers on their porch. Another saw Karen's sister walking dogs instead of filming houses. The shift wasn't dramatic, but it was deliberate. Forgiveness wasn't easy, but it started a conversation, not about letting things slide but about healing. Slowly, eyes softened, guards lowered. Was this the end of the feud? Maybe, maybe not. But for the first time, the community wasn't at war. It was cautiously rebuilding trust, and the mailbox of justice. It stood tall not as a weapon, but as a reminder. Respect the curb. Respect your neighbors. Time passed. Seasons changed. The dents in bumpers were repaired. Lawns regrew. The mailbox, still standing proud, had become a local landmark. Joggers nodded as they passed. Kids whispered stories about the battle that changed the block, but beneath the surface something had shifted for good. People looked out for each other more. Complaints turned into conversations. The street, once divided by drama, had found unity in resilience. And me. I no longer watched footage at night, waiting for chaos. I sat on my porch with a coffee, hearing laughter instead of sirens. The Karen sisters had faded from sight, but the lessons they left behind about boundaries, community, and the power of standing up lingered like a tale carved into the pavement. Looking back, it wasn't just about a mailbox. It was about boundaries, respect, the quiet power of standing firm when pushed. A simple act reinforcing a mailbox became a symbol for something bigger. Holding ground without throwing punches. The Karen sisters weren't just antagonists, they were catalysts. Their chaos triggered a chain reaction. Neighbors rose, voices united, and silence gave way to solidarity. There's an odd kind of peace in knowing you've changed something. That a little defiance sparked awareness. That justice doesn't always roar, sometimes hums beneath steel and concrete. And as the sun set behind that indestructible mailbox, I knew. The street had changed. had changed. The fight was over, but the impact would last. One morning, I replaced the mailbox's small metal flag, not because it broke, no, it was still strong, but I wanted a fresh start, something symbolic, a bright red flare that said, "This home stands tall." Neighbors waved as they passed. The air felt lighter. Kids rode their bikes without dodging drama. The Karen sisters were a closed chapter now, boxed away like old mail, never to be reread. I filmed the new flag waving gently in the breeze, uploaded it with a simple caption, "We rebuild, we rise." It got shared more than I expected. Sometimes, justice isn't loud. It's quiet, subtle, a steady rhythm of resilience, and in the end, that little mailbox told a much bigger story of a street, a stand, and the strength to push back. The mailbox of justice retired, undefeated,